my decade of debauchery really started as an act of rebellion. I was this Christian kid, brought up in a really conservative family, playing by all the rules. And then I just had this moment where, I said, now it's my turn. Now it's time to go and explore the other side. And, it started with smoking and then drinking and then drugs and then gambling and then pornography. And, one by one, I just took on the vices of nightlife. And 40 clubs and 10 years later, I found that I hated who I was. I mean, I was rotting inside. And this selfish pursuit had left me the most deeply unhappy person that I knew. So for me, redemption was trying to come home. It was almost a nostalgia for the virtue and the morality and the spirituality that I've been brought up with, that I had rejected. It really felt like it was a clean slate that allowed for me to be able to redeem the past. And you mentioned this, but I went on a hospital ship to West Africa, and the cool thing was that from day one, I was able to communicate a very different story to the 15,000 people on my list. I mean, I'd amassed an email list of 15,000 of some of the most influential people in New York who were going out spending $25 on a cocktail, $500 on a bottle of champagne. So they went from getting invited to, the Prada party at the opening of a new megastore to this really life-changing, redemptive humanitarian work. So it wasn't lost. Those years weren't lost. I was able to kind of use them from day one.
Do you think anybody can start over?
I really do. And that was really one of the reasons why I wanted to write the book and why it's so personal. I mean, my wife was like, I can't believe you tell people some of this stuff. No one goes, I think she was just surprised at how honest and it was about how really bad I was. And I think so many people believe that their past defines them. And, I can never start over. The things that I've done are impossible to overcome. And I would hope that my story, at 28 years old, if you had run into me, 15 years ago, there was this moment at 28 when I had gone out to dinner at 10, the club at 12, after hours at 5. I'd stumbled home, coked out of my mind at noon, right? I'm taking Ambien to come down, and I remember grabbing a comforter, trying to block out the windows, right, so that I could sleep. And I look out the window on Houston Street in New York City, and I see people on their lunch break in suits, like normal people going to lunch or to the gym. And my life is so unrecognizable now from that. I think it took a commitment to walk away completely, from those vices and really to give it all up. But I believe anyone can change. It's never too late to change. And you can actually use the things in your past, use the darkness you can redeem it.
No, it's really, really an extraordinary story. Now, the people that are listening right now that want to have a similar kind of redemptive experience, walk them through that moment where, because I know you had been trying to give up drugs and alcohol and the other vices to sort of mixed results. But then when the mercy ship comes up, you're staring at the gangway, you're about to walk out, you really have this moment. What was that moment, and how could you help other people get themselves in a place where they could have something similar?
Yeah. Well, the first cathartic moment was really at the decade point, and it was on an opulent vacation in South America. So it was this moment where I had collected the markers of success, the things that I thought would make me happy, right? So my girlfriend at the time was on the cover of fashion magazines. I drove the BMW. I had the fancy watch. I had the grand piano in my New York apartment. I had the Labrador Retriever. And I was vacationing on a compound in South America with servants waiting on us and horses in the background and Magnums of Dom Perignon everywhere and $1,000 of fireworks that we just blew up the night before. So it was just this picture of, okay, did it, and did enough of it. And I realized on this trip that there would never be enough. It was almost like the veil was lifted. I looked around and saw it for what it was. There would never be enough girls, there'd never be enough money. Somebody would always have a better car, a better watch, private planes. It was this never-ending, insatiable pursuit of more. It was a pursuit of me, really, of pure and utter selfishness that would have no end. And I realized that just thinking about legacy, coming up on 30 years old at the time, my tombstone might actually read, "Here lies a man who got 10 million people wasted over the course of his life." Who wants their tombstone to read, like, "Here's the guy that got people drunk for a living." And there on that vacation, I asked myself this question: what would the exact opposite of my life look like? What would the 180-degree turn look like? And it was a life of virtue. So if mine was a life of debauchery, it would be virtue and instead of vice, and it would be a life of service to others and not myself. So then there were months of floundering and trying to smoke less and trying to quit drugs, and just this kind of really uneven 6 or 7 months that then culminated with an incident in New York, which gave me an excuse to get out, the Mercy ship accepting me. And then this final hurrah where I looked at this 522-foot hospital ship full of 350 doctors and surgeons and volunteer crew who were all there for the right reasons. And there was something, symbolic or almost prophetic about walking up a gangway, the gangway being pulled up and then sailing away into my new life, sailing onto a new continent. And, I went out with a bang. I think I drank 8 beers that night. I smoked 3 packs of Marlboro Reds. I remember getting on the ship with the nicotine patch and the gum, just realizing that to create a new story for my life, I really had to go all in. I had to go cold turkey. And, and I haven't looked at a pornographic image in 15 years, and I haven't had a cigarette. I haven't touched Coke, or I haven't gambled. I really walked away from that.
It's interesting.